The second thing we do is we will prepare a portfolio or a presentation package, or maybe you might be familiar with the term data room that litigators will use. We will assemble a data room or a package that we then walk around to the potential targets. So we will go to them and say, here's some patents that our seller is interested in either licensing or selling to you. And we think that this could be valuable to you. Here's some information about these patents. So it might be, for example, claim charts. It could be some PowerPoint slides. It could be some additional material beyond just what's in the patents. Because whenever you've assembled a lot of I keep using the word lot, a grouping of patents, your targets are not going to have time to review each and every one of the patents in those groups. Because they're busy people as well, and you want to be able to identify the key value drivers to them, and in a way that's meaningful to them, something that they can digest and understand why it might be valuable to them. At the same time, we're also helping our client with the valuation. So basically, if you went to the presentation this morning, valuation can mean a number of different things. There are lots of different ways to figure out how much a patent is worth. And if you ask 5 different people how much a patent is worth, you're probably going to get 5 different responses. But we will use a number of different techniques to try to derive what we think is a good sort of target range that we want to sell a particular patent for, or a grouping of patents for. And then the fourth step we take is to help the client understand the seller license analysis. And typically, whenever you're doing that, you always want to have the ability to support that with litigation. So the threat of litigation is what's eventually going to complete your license. If you're not willing to execute on that threat of litigation, there is no reason for the buyer or the licensee to actually close on the transaction unless it's really interesting to them for some other reason. If you're just trying to get rid of your patents and derive actual value for them, unless you're willing to litigate it, I think you all understand why the buyer is going to be reluctant to take any next step. So there are a number of steps for the seller license analysis, including reviewing the remaining term, cost versus benefit, and so on. And then the fifth step is the final monetization step. So basically, it's going through with the transaction, completing the title transfer, and so forth. So taking at least a couple of those points in turn. For the value drivers, we might use the help of service providers like Ravel's company, or we might do it on our own, or the clients also might have a good understanding of their competitive landscape. So we try to figure out which patents are going to be core to either our client's business or to the target's business, because that might be a place where there are some key value drivers. A second one is, even if it's not presently pertinent to what either the client or the target is doing, maybe taking a look at whether it's on the technological evolutionary path. So that's where it's helpful to have both somebody from the client side as well as somebody who understands that technical landscape on the patent side, on the IP side, to help figure out how that technology is going to evolve, because a patent that's not valuable today might be valuable 5 years from now. On the other hand, a patent that is valuable today might no longer be valuable 5 or 6 years from now. And so it's important to make those determinations, because that's going to have a pretty significant impact on which patents you're selling, when you're selling them, and how much value you can expect to derive from them. The next thing we take a look at is, even if there are some patents that may not be particularly valuable today, if there's an adequate disclosure in there, we take a look at opportunities for improving their value. So for example, one might be if there's a continuation pending. As many of you are probably familiar with patents, a continuation or a divisional, it gives you the opportunity to expand the scope of your claims or change the scope of your claims, especially in the United States, where it's possible to get something different from a specification than possibly what was originally anticipated by the inventors. A broadening reissue is a case where if you have a patent that's granted, that's issued in the United States, within 2 years you can file what's called a broadening reissue application. And I've filed probably about 50 of these in the last 3 years, where you're trying to derive additional value in these patents by expanding the scope of the claims after the patent is actually granted, when you don't have a continuation already pending. The next step is to identify subsets of the value drivers for each potential target or industry. So basically, in your grouping of patents, you might have some that are pertinent to a particular competitor, some others that are pertinent to a particular industry group, and that helps to identify the speaking points with each of the people you're trying to sell your patents to. I've already talked about you need to understand the industry really well, and you have to have at least one high-value patent for each of the groupings or lots. So one thing that we find that some of our clients get hung up on, and I think Dr. Seshan mentioned this as well, is the idea of selling your monetization internally. Oftentimes, there are going to be competing interests. The technology group may not want to sell the patents because they think it's important to them, or they may have some other vested interest. The board of directors may not want to sell.
Service with your existing customers, because those existing buyers are not stuck without support, Or employees also are transferred to that division or to the buyer, so you don't have to lay them off, and of course the royalties income. And the next one that I like the most is licensing the technology that's core to your products, but into another market. And the one that is very interesting at HP is our ink cartridge technology. Ink cartridges, can accurately deliver picoliters of ink. So what we did was we modified the technology for different market, medical drug delivery. And now we have got a huge portfolio of technology and patents, more than 150 patents, just related to delivering medical drugs. And there, really the only benefit is you generate more royalties. And of course, start a completely new market with new technology. So I was asked to give some example case studies. So I gave a lot of US case studies, and there's some HP Labs India, some of the research done here has been also quite very successful. And I heard a few speakers yesterday and on Wednesday talk about the inventors of Indian origin not working together with the Indians, or Indians in India not working together with the Indians of Indian origin. And that's not the case with HP. There's a lot of collaboration. We may not be the co-inventors with them, but we guide them on IP strategy, we guide them on research, and also we help them commercialize that research. And one of the examples is Site on Mobile, where this was targeted towards Indian market because the penetration of internet in India is not as good as elsewhere in the world. I think it's less than 10% or something, because there's no broadband access at homes, lot of homes, and people are still using consumer, low-end devices like simple phones. So they looked at the use of internet, and usually it is not really entertainment, like entertainment of course, but really the people are using internet for carrying out various tasks, like booking the airline or tickets, or buying ink cartridge, or many such things. So what they did was they created a very simple to use user interface and whole middleware that takes really records the activities on the internet, and they create a tasklet. So you could just go on your cell phone, and with just one or two numbers punched in, you could carry out that task, like checking in online, or buying products and whatnot. Whatever features you're doing, whatever task you're doing, carrying out every day, you could actually program those in your regular cell phone and carry out those functions. And we have, I think, close to dozen plus customers, worldwide, not just India, but in Europe and elsewhere as well. And we filed more than dozen patents. HP Labs India filed more than dozen plus patents worldwide. There's another device called Vayu, or WIND, Vayu Internet Device, which is really very interesting concept. This I don't know whether you want to call it a set-top box, but a little box that converts your TV into a smart TV. And the benefit is that you don't want to keep upgrading your smart TV every 3 years. So you have this box and it carries out similar functions. So your grandma can use television to access the internet. And very simple to use, simple to carry out functions. And this just tremendous opportunity and too many customers calling in, because especially the telcos calling in because they want to build such services in India as well as elsewhere. I think a lot of you might have heard about gesture-based keyboard that HP Labs developed, where just especially for Devanagari script, you can just add vowels by just certain gestures on the keyboard, and this got several awards. Even Wall Street Journal gave a award of innovation to this technology that was also developed in India. Another example that was developed in HP Labs Palo Alto is called SERS, Surface Enhanced Raman Spectroscopy. So we have a very big nanotechnology lab, and the inventor is one of the most famous inventors in the world, Stan Williams. The main reason we have that lab is because we want to improve computing. And you might have heard about memristor, which is a new type of component that has been developed. It's like resistors, capacitors, inductors, and now memristor. So this is a resistor that has a memory. It can change the memory depending on what you want to store. And if this technology is deployed, expect in 3 to 5 years, you're going to see really, really small devices, because the whole computing is going to be completely different. The laws of computing will change. And in this tremendous research going on there, we licensed that technology to Hynix, a South Korean company. But byproduct of that of that whole research is also this SERS technology. So what it does is identifies even the little change in the composition. So for example, if you have contaminated water, even one molecule of contamination can be detected using this technology. And you don't need these big machines to do that. It's like a litmus paper, and it's non-destructive, which means if you put that in the water, it's still drinkable because it's the light that passes through it. It's not any chemical that you're passing. And this way you can detect any contamination, and it can be used in lots of things, blood test and all sorts of things, and it costs pennies. So Chinese government and many companies in China are all over because they want to just mass market this and commercialize it all over China. So any questions so far on technology licensing? Okay. So the other way to monetize IP is brand licensing. So you see like the DVDs with HP logo on it. You think HP made it? No, it's our partner who makes it, and they put HP logo on it. So yeah, you could make some money with brand licensing, but what we have learned is that combining brand with differentiated technology is the best way to make money, because now, and it's good for the licensee also because they are differentiating their product with a better technology. And so we have many parameters that we look for before we license our brand. We definitely check the company and their, what product they want to use the brand for. Is it in their main line of business? Is it complementary to their main business? And of course, are there any ways to ensure that they're really keeping the standards and not really destroying our brand? Because the whole value of doing brand licensing is not just the royalties, but also we want to improve our own brand. And better the products, better the value. And of course, we have a huge strategy around it. Brand, for example, you're not going to see soups with HP brand because that's not our core line of business. Or you're not going to see even exercise machines with electronics in it as HP because that's not our core business. So we really try to stick to our adjacent products to our core business. And that's what, and also we have a huge strategy on, is it better to license or is it better to do it ourselves? And we'll do it only if the go-to-market alternatives are better than what HP can do. And of course, we can talk about the whole product life cycle and different examples of brand licensing at different phases. So for example, if you want to get into a new market in the introduction phase, we look into brand licensing, and one example is paper. So with printers goes paper, and HP is not a paper manufacturer, but we wanted to get into that business, and that's how we started with brand licensing in the paper market. Then when it goes into the growth phase, we have to look at whether it's better to license the brand or it's better to manufacture. In growth, for example, flash memory, there were so many fluctuations in the supply chain that we decided, even though it was a growing market, we decided that it's better to license it to somebody else than carrying it out ourselves. In maturity or end of life, DVD is a good example. DVD drives and DVDs with HP brand, we decided to exit the market and instead decided to work with partners. And here's an example of the paper. So there is a bonding agent that's called Color Pro bonding agent on the paper. So it only interacts with HP ink. And so that's how you get a very cheap, high quality picture or high quality print with that paper, with the Color Pro paper associated with HP ink. So you're getting the benefit of improved brand and also improved products because we are licensing the technology along with the brand. Thank you.